Hello, I'd like to start asking you if you've ever been stressed out because you either lost or forgot your phone, making you stressed because you won't be able to talk to anyone or feel like you're missing out on something when you leave the house. In a survey at a large public university at the Southeast, data was collected from 526 undergraduate students that they will rely heavily on some sort of mobile technology. Hello, my name is Andy, and I will be discussing to you guys about how smartphones and mediated relationships are changing the face of relational communication. In my presentation, I will explain how our today's technology is rapidly changing, which is resulting in the way people increase or decrease their relational communication skills. In our daily lives, people are becoming more attached to becoming attached to mediated nonverbal communication to develop relationship skills. The three things that I'll be discussing or covering in the media will be the media richest model, Joseph B. Walther's hyperpersonal model, and also how smartphones and mediated relationships or relations are changing the face of relational communication. Mediated nonverbal communication is communication with others through media like through your phone, text message, voicemail, email, Snapchat, or Instagram, and then which is rather than like face-to-face encounters. Media richness is how we examine the various communication media, and in the terms of their richness is based on the scale. The high media richness ranges from being 4 to being the most face-to-face, then decreasing down to 1 being the lowest media richness. 4 is basically face-to-face. 3 is considered video chat like FaceTime or Skype. 2 would be your phone calls, and then 1 would be text messaging, where it's kind of minimum. And the source I found in my research that Carrie Hutchinson discusses was the Walther hyperpersonal model, which suggests online interpersonal communication is more conducive to rapid relationship developments because it tends to involve greater disclosure, which equals more intimacy, rather than face-to-face communication. As she says, when people develop online relationships with others, they start off slow, but then their relationship begins to grow, and it goes quickly because they become more comfortable with each other. Then once they seem comfortable with each other and develop that connection, then some will start sending pictures or start FaceTime each other. I just, from this quote I got from the textbook, it says, "I just started working out when we met. I held off the photos until I built up the bulk. That way, in her mind, I have always been buff." But like she doesn't know that about like all the fat decades, from the quote from the book. In the journal, Smartphones and Mediated Relationships, the changing face of communication talks about how face-to-face interactions are becoming more transformed to be mainly more confrontable with newer mobile technology by computer-mediated communication to develop online relationships with people. The journal goes in depth about how people are becoming more comfortable with communicating through their mobile devices to create new relationships and make communication between each other a lot easier. Before knowing about this topic, I never thought communication is being changed from normal face-to-face conversation to nonverbal communication. People have communicated through our devices so much that they forget how to actually communicate with a person face-to-face and develop a relationship without being awkward or nervous or when being around them. For example, when I first got my phone, the only thing I was limited to was calling and this game I used to play called Brick Breaker. But I never knew our phones would be used more for an everyday necessity. The few things that I've learned from nonverbal behaviors is that it could increase or decrease people's communication and relationship skills. The people who increase these skills have developed a quick relationship, and the ones who decrease in these skills tend to lose communication skills. For example, the ones who gain mediated relationships could use social media apps like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, could look at someone at the same time and just can be easier access with instant messaging, which some of these relationships evolve into something bigger then the ones whose relationships decrease are the ones who are so addicted to the electronic devices that slowly begin losing those relationships, because skills that the way they communicate is through mediated conversation and minimum face-to-face interaction. So with today's technology evolving at the rate that it is now, now in the future that everything is changing, everything what we do. Behave and how we communicate is changing the way we develop relationship skills with others. Mediated nonverbal communication has been studied and put into perspective. Like the media journal richness scale, the Walters hyperpersonal, and also the journal called The Changing Face of Communication.